people look at you at a different thing. Like your cat, I was trying to make some jokes here. Your cat is perceive you as a, you know, janitor, slave, assistant, chef, because that's how they think of you. Your family may think of you as completely different. That's where, I know there's a questions that my personal life, my career life, everyone think of you differently. But who you really are, that's where everything comes in. And I want to give you, a couple of tips on public speaking. So how many minutes do you have, Murtaja?
Uh, I have to leave as I said, bhai. But
Okay.
yeah,
I really have like two real slides. Okay.
What's up, Murtaza bhai? Finish the recording and you can leave and then
yeah. So
we'll
you
just
can go on. It's just the recording will be finished now. Okay, so you can go
yeah,
Okay.
on.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That
Okay.
should be okay.
All
Thanks.
right. So yeah, thank you. So I thought I'd share some tips on public speaking. Not much about public speaking myself. I still get nervous. I still suffer. But the first thing about public speaking is the courage. Take the microphone, get out there, and knowing you're gonna fail, try again. That's okay, because you never try, you never know where you are, right? What's your baseline? So that is a bit different than personal branding, but part of the personal branding is talking to people, and maybe you're going to be talking to a lot of people, multiple group of people, strangers. And that's where I wanted to add that as a part of the tips, that fail fast. So if you are waiting too long to fail, you're probably not going to have the time to recover. So fail as soon as possible. You want to welcome the fail. Like, I want to fail today so that tomorrow I will be a little better. And the next day I'll be a little better. And so I said, fail fast and try again. And if you're nervous, so there's a couple things personal experience, I will tell you. So there's a fast message, there's a slow message. Fast message, sometimes they're also called the clear message. Slow message, also called the vague message. Fast message, if you see that your building is caught fire, what are you going to do? You're going to go out there and yell at everyone, say, fire, get out, right? And that doesn't require any skill, doesn't require your, uh, practice on that. It just comes to your mind, get it out. Slow message is also called the vague message. If your best friend mom passed away and you have to call him to give it the message, you're not going to call and say, hey, your mom died. No, you're going to have to say in a very vague way. You're going to call and say, how you doing? How you feeling? I heard your mom was sick. And then you get into that very vague, that what if maybe you don't be not in the same state of mind if something happened to her, blah, 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 whatever. So you have to kind of know your message giving style. And when you shed the lights on your audience, like I was talking before, it's all about customer focus. It's how you care for other people. It already take away your nervousness, because now you're focusing on other people, what you are understanding, what you're listening, rather than what I'm talking to you. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. Are you understanding me? That focus will go to the customer, to your audience, to your people, rather than you. And it also shows your kindness, shows your passion for other people, resolving problems. And then there's few things I was talking about, record and listen. So, if you're nervous, start talking to one person. And then even if you're a crowd of people, you're going to still talk to one person. And that's how you're going to start. The ikigai, if you never heard of it, ikigai is a Japanese word, basically means the life purpose, the value of life. Iki is life, gai is the value, the worth. So you can use that as a tool to build your brand or build your brand statement, basically telling what do you love to do, what are you good at, can you get paid for anything that you're good at? And at the end of the day, what will it benefit to other people? Will it benefit to the world? What the world needs Is any of the things that you're good at, you love to do, or you get paid for, is good for the world? And from there, you will define your passion, mission, profession, and vocation. Now, in the next slides, I also talked about brand lemonade. And there's the recipe: 2 tablespoons of your authentic self, 1 tablespoon of passion and love, 1 tablespoon of mission and urgency, 1 tablespoon of experience refined. Just don't want to use your raw experience. You want to polish it up, right? You want to refine it. 2 tablespoons of force of the nature and 1 gallon of dream. Mix it all up. Enjoy. Call to action. Now you want to see what's we gonna have in the future, right? So let's set a goal in 5 years. What do you think you're gonna be? What do you think our friends are gonna call you in 5 years, or talk about you in 5 years, in 10 years? Look at all your digital footprints: LinkedIn, GitHub, social media profiles. Be authentic and be polished when you are marketing yourself. Doesn't matter what you do in your private life, but when you're creating your brand, that's a public statement. Legacy plan: make meaningful post. Personal brand statement: when you need a statement, you can always feed in all information to the AI and ask AI to create an example banner like the one I posted right next to it. And once you have the banner, you can visualize, you can fix it. Now you know what system may think of you or think of your personal brand as. All right. Next slide. Tools and reference. Now, tools and reference is where you going to polish your LinkedIn profile, your resume, if you want to, and other social media profile. Now, I'm putting a couple of the link here. One of them is Talent Tree Online. You can see how you can critique your resume or critique your LinkedIn profile. You copy and paste, it will tell you exactly the critics. Somebody probably can tell you too, but you probably need multiple friends to tell you that, where you can just use AI to tell you all that in one shot, right? Tulily is another good website. I'm kind of self-marketing myself because this is one of my websites. But you can also find other websites that will do the QR code for you. So if you just copy paste your LinkedIn profile or any other social media profile, it will just give you a similar to what you see on the right side, a QR code. So you can print it out. You can even make a business card out of it. You can also just put it on your phone desktop and let people just scan it and just get to the link right away. But you do need a QR code, I think, instead of talking, like the picture tells 1,000 words. Is QR code is something like that. They will scan it, they will go to your LinkedIn profile or other social media, look at your picture, look at your details. What do you do in one shot while they're talking to you or while they're meeting you? All right, open floor for Q&A. So the first question was, when do I start to build my brand? As soon as you understand the digital footprints, you have space on the social media, you go online. As soon as you do that, start doing all the background work. There's another question about how the personal brand merging with the long-term career goals, or is it beneficial to merge our personal brand with our professional career, or do we keep them separate? All right, very good questions. Your job is a platform to market the core values of your brand. People know at my work that I give social talk, career talk, and I'm a stand-up comedian and a life coach. Of course, check for conflict of interest, but you need to be recognized for your core values. It will help you with your purpose. It will support your authenticity. Also, show, don't tell strategy, right? Be innovative, be creative, have empathy, simplicity, transparency, integrity, human connections. And all these values shows who you really are without even saying about your brand. That's your brand value. So as you are using your job platform, to hone, to sharpen up your brand value, it will only gonna go up. And that's your platform. You can always give it a vibe. Like at my core, I believe design should make people's lives simpler. And that's how I approach every project. And that shows the way you think, and that shows how you are a brand. Okay, with that, I thank everyone for joining. And thanks to the organizer. Hope to talk to you soon. Thank you and bye. I mean, you guys have any questions so far?
Yeah. Let's open the floor to the audience for questions if anyone has any. Then we'll finish the presentation offline.
No, this is a good job you did. I loved the pace and the tone of your voice. That's like most important. I think that's what we all struggle with, right?
Thank
And
you.
the content was fabulous. The way you organized it. I think this was a good topic to bring, right? And I didn't even think as you went more into the branding that's happening without us knowing the brand. Like we're still holding on to the resume. As you were speaking to it, I realized, yes, that's so old-fashioned, right? They don't need your resume, right? So I think you touched on very good things, but I applaud you for your ability to speak and the way, your voice, your tone stayed flat consistently, right? That's what people, like when you go to meetings,
Hopefully you're not boring.
you're never boring, right? But you didn't share your poetry or your comedy, but professionally you're good too. So thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Rahat. I mean, it was a very good presentation, and especially during interviews, I think nowadays the interviewers, they don't actually focus on the resume materials, but definitely they try to find out whether you can solve critical problems, like how can you do critical thinking, right? I mean, not only the skills, but say your mental setup. They try to look for it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thank you. So, a common question, right? I get that all the time. When do I start to build my brand? That is a very common question. I think since nobody's asking that questions, either they didn't like my content or they think the time is over, so they're not asking any questions. But I think the common question I always get is, when do I start my brand? And I usually say, as soon as you realize you are putting a digital footsteps, you are having a Facebook profile or social media profile or LinkedIn profile, as soon as you started doing that, you start your digital footprints. And that's when you should be starting or thinking about your personal branding. And then when I was doing the comparison from a company standpoint, from a high branded people standpoint, we should all line up to those core values and keep our values very authentic, because that's the only way our persona that we want to build up. It's not naturally who we are, but we can always build up to that level. And then that's how we should be thinking. And then, like I said, detaching ourselves and then focusing to build that. And then, start our digital footprints.
There are a couple of questions in the chat, Radbhai, so I'll just read them to you. Arfa liked your presentation. Her question is, in the long run, would it be beneficial to merge our personal brand into who we are, or is it better to keep them separate? And Farin has a question kind of in the same tone. She also liked your presentation. The question is, how can I or should I align my personal brand with my long-term career goals?
Okay, yeah, I'm actually reading that right now. Thanks for the questions. Okay, that's a very, very good question, and I always struggle with that, and that made me think about that more and go into that more. So our career, like I work for Ford, right? So if I don't think about my personal brand, I usually associate myself with Ford. And people think of me as, oh, Rahat, the Ford guy, right? But of course, my core values that I use while I'm at Ford and use while I'm building my personal brand should have a lot of similarity, which is the persona, right? If I'm a confident person, if I'm a funny person, I should always also be a funny person in Ford, not, funny, crazy, but I also could be a confident, fun person while I'm working. So that's why I said before that our passion and our expertise should link. That's where we're gonna have flow the most of the energy, and that's where we're not gonna be wasting our energy. Because if I'm two different person, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I may be wasting a lot of energy, and I may be suffering in identity crisis. Like, who am I really? So what we should be doing is finding that core value, and that's why I keep saying being authentic is very important, because when we are authentic, we can at the same time energize our personal branding, at the same time be in that career that we are in. So I kind of link them together. I kind of want to put them so that we don't have to think completely different in different scenario. It's like, if I'm lying to different people every time I lie, it changes. But if I'm speaking the truth, it's the same story, right? I know the analogy may not be related, but that's an example.